welcome, Basit, and I'm sure you enjoyed the occasion today, even if the game was not in Pakistan's favor, England returning after 17 years.
Thank you for having me here, Abdullah. Yeah, certainly. It was a historic day as far as Pakistan England cricket is concerned. And we have a very long history of having great, memorable matches. And certainly, this was another one such game, which could have been the other way around if some school level errors wouldn't have taken place as far as Pakistan's planning was concerned. I don't know what were they thinking by bowling their faster men after seeing what happened during their own innings. So I think there was this disappointment as far as Pakistan chances and preparations for the T20 World Cup are concerned. But as far as the bigger picture is, if we talk about it, it was certainly a great player. Seeing the likes of Moeen Ali and Prok, Alex Hales coming back and having his big game in Karachi, a cricket fan can't ask for anything else.
And I know it's easier after the event, but who did you have as favorites going into this series? Did you have England as favorites or did you have Pakistan as favorites?
Pretty much Pakistan. I think it was a horrid day as far as Pakistan and India being the host nations getting a good bashing from England and Australia respectively. It was very strange. Usually you would expect these home teams coming and actually doing well. But that does mean that the English and the Australians have upped their game against quality spin.
And in both those games that you referred to that were played today, both times the chasing side won. The team that's winning the toss won those games. That's becoming a common feature in 2020 cricket, especially cricket that is played in subcontinent, that the chasing side is coming out on top on a regular basis.
Yes, with having power hitters, you see any total is manageable if they apply themselves. And it was the case today as well. If you look into Australians' chase, how they innovated by sending Green up in the order, and then Matthew Wade finished the game pretty well. And if we look into the England game, pretty much the same, how Alex Hale kept on going for his shots, and then it was Brook who actually took the game away, one Dhani over, and it was all over. So if you don't have a massive total on the board, a 15, 16 run over could really change the momentum of the game.
Well, let's look into the game in more depth, and particularly Pakistan's game with England. Where do you stand on... we knew, having seen the pitch in the first innings, that Usman Khader was going to have a big role to play when Pakistan came around to bowl. And I mean, he took a couple of wickets. He could have had another wicket. Alex Hales was dropped by a big part of Shah Masood to put down Alex Hales in the deep. And that could have been a key moment in the game. We'll never know. But where do you stand on Usman Khader in terms of his selection in the Pakistan team? Because there's no Zahid Mahmood, who's more experienced and has proven it over a number of seasons, particularly in national 2020 competitions. He's more experienced both in terms of age and domestic matches than Usman Khader. And by all accounts, he's got better control than Usman Khader. Usman can produce wicket-taking deliveries, but the issue with him, as the commentators referred to today, has always been his consistency. And today he went at 9 and over, and he was outbowled by Adil Rashid. So where do you stand on Zahid versus Usman?
I think they're both quality spinners. I wouldn't rate Zahid miles ahead of Khader because of the fact you have just stated yourselves. He's a wicket-taking option. And in T20 cricket, you would rather have a wicket-taking option when you have control in shape of Nawaz or other spinning options, which I believe should have bowled if Takhar or Khushtil could have been given a few overs or could have been given 1 over, because English team might have struggled against off spin, or they didn't fare well with Nawaz either. Though there's a big difference in the quality of Nawaz or Khushtil, but still Khushdil has done pretty all right for his team in PSL. As far as the comparison of Zahid and Khadir is, Khadir has proved to be a wicket taker in whatever little opportunities he has got. It's not very fair with him as well. If even Zahid would have been playing, he would have found it pretty difficult to, just come and ball against really quality batters, and with fielders not, giving you this extra edge. Shan dropping a sitter, and the ground fielding wasn't that great as well. They would let the English players, batters, rotate the strike, and the spark was missing today overall. And then Kadir has this experience in Australia as well. So I think the talk of Kadir being buddies with the captain is a bit exaggerated. Kadir deserves the place on merit, I believe, and I would rather persist with Kadir just because he's a wicket-taking option. Yes, he should have had better control, and I think with a great pattern in Saklan, he's going to get better with time.
Okay, let's move on to a different topic. Let's talk about the Pakistan batting coach. So it's Mohammad Yusuf, the batting coach. For me, this is a bit of a misfit when it comes to 2020 cricket, because if you look at Yusuf, he barely played any 2020 cricket at the international level, and even at the domestic level, he hardly played. And I remember there was a Legends League tournament going on in, was it in Oman earlier this year? And there were clips of him getting batting tips himself because he was playing a 2020 format from the likes of Azhar Ali. For me, it's a bit of a mismatch and a bit of a misfit, particularly for 2020 cricket, to have someone like Mohammad Yusuf as a batting coach in this format. Where do you stand on that? Or do you feel that he can do all three formats?
Oh, he should be doing all right, being a modern day great. He had great technique. But yeah, there are two things. One, not all great cricketers are great coaches. And the other one is, if you look at a broader perspective, these guys, they don't need any coaching assets when they come up to a certain level. Only you can help them getting a better game plan or better game awareness. I mean, you wouldn't expect Kejivo Yusuf would be teaching Asif how to have a better defense, or for Khushdil on how to hit a few sixes around. It's about the mindset. Like you have Brendan McCullum coming in and taking up this coaching stint for England, and the results have been phenomenal. But if you actually look into the results, you would see that all these players had a natural attacking game who have actually finished games for England recently. It's not that he has done wonders to Johnny Bairstow, and he has in days just changed how he has been batting. It's just a mindset that he has been able to produce results. So yeah, it's a very thin line. But yeah, let's just give them time. Pakistan has had pretty all right results so far since this coaching staff has come in. And the best part about this squad is they're gelling in, and the overall culture, or you say the kind of calmness which has been brought into the side, and hopefully some of the senior pros could stay away from the team, because all these guys from decades have been involved, and they might have won our team a few games, but there has been a lot of politics going on. So it's a very healthy atmosphere. I hope it doesn't get polluted, that we start talking about change of captaincy and the change of the coaching staff. Definitely it's on the cards if they don't perform well in the T20 World Cup. But even now, if we look deeply into it, there's something going on with few of the journalists trying to discredit the present regime of this cricket team. It could be a bit unsettling. I think we need to back this team, these boys, And honestly, yeah, there could be one or two people here and there, like everybody was talking about Haider Ali and Chan. So they're back, and now you give them time as well. It may not work, but you have to have a plan B, and certainly they're trying that in this series. So let's see how it works out.
You mentioned there that there could be a potential change in the coaching staff if results don't go according to plan in the 2020 World Cup coming up. But is there even time for that? Because if you look at Pakistan's schedule in this home season, it's non-stop. As soon as the 2020 World Cup is over, their focus shifts to Test cricket. They've got 3 Test matches against England and 2 against New Zealand. And then they move into white ball matches against New Zealand. West Indies is coming as well. And there's the PSL, and New Zealand come again to make up for that aborted tour last year in Ramzan. So it's sort of a non-stop season for Pakistan when it comes to home internationals as soon as the 2020 World Cup is over. So even if results don't go according to plan in the 2020 World Cup, you'd imagine that there won't even be time to change the coaching staff. As soon as the 2020 World Cup finishes, they're onto the challenge of hosting England for 3 Test matches. There's barely any time. And that might take the pressure off the coaching staff, knowing that the 2020 World Cup is not the be-all and end-all for them.
Uh, it won't be self-praise, or talking about somebody who I had the player and the honor of working with, one of the best minds the game has had, Saklan Mushtaq. You mentioned in the intro as well. I worked with him for about a year or more, and there were a lot of interactions. The real fun was always off the camera, you see, and we would talk cricket here and there, and then. I have also been close with Misbah Bhai, Misbah Haq. So I have had good, detailed inside info, the kind of cricket, the drawing room politics goes around in Pakistan. So I believe this is the right step forward. It's a decent team. It's a young team as well. Babar should have been handed over captaincy in PSL as soon as the think tanks had an idea that he'll be your go-to boy. They did it late, and now gradually he's learning um, the trade, the art of leadership. But the boy has it. It's not there. You saw this Test match in Karachi, how he fought with his young team, and Rizwan and Shaheen, all of them were just coming in and doing well. And then PSL happened, and Lahore won, and unfortunately, Akib came up with such statements, and some people from a certain city also started talking about having somebody else captain out of nowhere. Let's bring somebody who was captain before. So it's time to back this young guy. I think in the next few years, we might be yielding the fruits. It'll take time, but let's back them. I would say it's a young team. We need to be a little lenient on them. Yes, a lot of things could have been done this way or the other, but if somebody from the coaching staff says, or the captain himself has said, if they would have won Asia Cup, we might not be talking all this. And even today, it wasn't a one-sided game. They took it to the last over, and another wicket or two in the middle. If I know this game can't be analyzed on the ifs and buts, but that remains to be a fact. If Chan would have caught Alex Sales, they had a fragile lower order, and the game could have gone the other way.
But don't you think it's too much for Babar to be doing all 3 formats plus PSL? Because I also consider PSL captaincy a format. So that's basically 4 captaincies he's got to concentrate on. Don't you think that eventually will have to give, and he'll have to give up at least 1 or 2 of those 4 formats?
Abdullah, Babar is very lucky. He is a role model, and the role model should be Virat Kohli. How Virat has got burnt with all this pressure. You see, after every match you lose, there's a lot more pressure on your shoulders, and then you are the prime batsman. People flock to the stadiums to watch you bat, and besides that, a lot of other stuff is going around. So I agree with you here. He should be limiting himself for the kind of pressure he's taking onto himself. Should be PSL or the ODI format after the World Cup or something. He has to set himself deadlines, and he has to reconsider that. I agree with you.
Okay. What did you make of Shan Masood's selection in 2020 cricket at the international level? For me, it was a bit of a strange selection, and I mean, I thought it was quite a silly selection. I know he's got the numbers, but a lot of players perform well in domestic 2020 competitions. Even Pujara's got 100 in an Indian domestic 2020 tournament. For me, he's not a 2020 batsman, especially at the international level. I say that because he's not a natural at the format. It takes a lot of effort for him to play the format. He's not a naturally attacking batsman as such. And for me, it was quite odd that they sent him at 4 today, bearing in mind his own debut, bearing in mind the platform was already set for somebody like Iftikhar or Kushtil to come in front of him and really capitalize on that start. But not an impressive debut for him. I mean, he didn't make money with the bat and also dropped that crucial catch.
Yeah, you see, first of all, I would rather say that Shan deserves a chance because he's been an exceptional performer. Yeah, Pujara might have scored a few runs lately, but still, Shan has displayed far more superior skill set as far as limited overs cricket is concerned, and he's really improved heaps and bounds. It's just his batting position. I think Shan should have actually opened in place of Babar or Rizwan. I don't. It's more stat padding for Rizwan. A lot of people might disagree, but Rizwan is actually not doing himself a favor. He should have just rested. That's what we knew as well before this series started. That in the Karachi leg, he'll be resting, and I think that should have been an excellent case in all kind of scenarios you can think of. कि चलो भाई लोग बोलते हैं कि रिजवान जो है वो बॉल्स खा जाता है and he would consume a lot of overs and he would just score at a strike rate of 100, 110, 120 and gradually if he's going well then he can up the strike rate. But this seems to be the case as well. I think Shan should have opened and Rizwan or Babar, one of them should have come at 3. After every big defeat, you're looking for a scapegoat. I think for the present Pakistan team, it's Iftikhar Ahmed. Somehow everybody finds Chacha to be blamed for all the big blunders the rest of the team or the captain is committing or some of the other players. You see, Dhani bowled pathetically, especially that over. He leaked a lot of runs, and then Naseem wasn't that great. Pace is not going to bail you out every other day, and it may scare a few Afghanistan batters, but English batsmen are well prepared to face such pace. So they need to have a much better game plan, and instead of looking for scapegoats, they need to fix what's going really bad, and we all could foresee if they keep playing like this and without having a plan B, things may get ugly in Australia.
Right, let's change format slightly. After the 2020 World Cup, Pakistan have a very important test season coming up against England and New Zealand. We mentioned we've got Azhar Ali currently playing in England, some county championship cricket. He's been dropped from the test team. Not dropped, but he was left out of the last test that Pakistan played in Sri Lanka. So he needs some runs to be able to start the series against England. And today, again, he's got a low score in county cricket. He was dismissed just for about 6 runs earlier this morning. It's an interesting one, isn't it? Because he's not a guarantee to start the first test against England. But if he does start the first test against England, he's got a chance of playing his 100th test at home in this season. So it's a bit of a dilemma for the selector Mohammad Wasim. But Azhar's got these remaining innings in what's left of the county season and the start of the Qaeda-e-Azam Trophy season to press his claim to keep that number 3 spot when that first test starts. So interesting times ahead for him.
Yeah, you're right, and I think he's going to find it very difficult staying for long with inconsistent performances. He has to step forward and he has to show his mettle, which he's capable of. But in the last few years, he's been really inconsistent, or at least he has been a slow starter, starting the series on a low and ending on a high often. More than often, it has been happening, which may not go for long because Pakistan is looking for a much stable number three, and with all these young guys knocking your test team with a pretty decent batting techniques, and you have got Shan Masood as well, since Abdullah and Imam are opening and doing well for Pakistan. So there could be somebody like Shan Masood getting back in the test team at three, or then there you have all these young people, a lot of young names, which could potentially come into the test team and have a knock around. So yeah, I agree with you. And if it doesn't really work out, he should just go gracefully, because he has served the Pakistan team really well for a very long time now. It's been 12 years. He started off in 2010, and when he did, uh, I think he wouldn't even have thought that he'll end up as one of the Pakistan great. I would call him a Pakistan great. He has done remarkably well as a cricketer. He has played honorably, and he has also chipped in the all important. He's the unsung hero of that Champions Trophy final. Nobody talks about him. Everybody would talk about Fakhr's century, or our bowlers. But Azhar actually laid the foundation, and he started charging Ashwin, and the rest is history. So I think he's sort of a gentleman cricketer, and he has done well with a bit of niggles here and there. I think it's just time to just go gracefully if he just can't keep it in the domestic cricket or the county championship. It means that the reflexes are slowing down, and it's not the same thing.
There are a couple of caveats to this. One is that he's approaching that 100 test milestone, but obviously you can't just pick a player because he's approaching 100 test matches. But there is that, I'm sure, in the back of the selectors' minds, because very few Pakistan cricketers have played 100 tests. And if he does start the series against England, he's got a chance of doing it at home. And the other factor to consider is that the chief selector, Mohammad Wasim, is actually very close and good friends with Azhar Ali at a personal level. They played together at KRL. So there are a couple of interesting aspects to his selection that will surely be considered or surely come into play.
You see, even I have also been criticizing Wasim's rule as a chief selector, and people are ridiculing him for being the laptop selector. But on a serious note, if you make up a pool of 15 or 20 players for any format, more or less all these players will be in the mix. And the people you're talking about, oh, bring them in and all that, they might be performing how Heather performed today. That's the problem. And for how long you'll be um, patient with them, not scoring or not performing the way you're expecting them to be. वो मैं आपको बताऊं, कहते हैं कि जो टीम में नहीं अच्छा होता ना वही अच्छा लग रहा होता है. So ये बात होती है. Somebody is not in, they'll start saying, oh, bring Shoaib Malik in, or bring Sarfraz in, bring Flana in. And when they'll not perform in a couple of games, they'll all start, क्यों लेके आए हो? Or the funniest part is, people would quickly jump up to the newbies, like somebody was saying, tweeting, I know he's a cricket writer himself, saying, bring in Saim into the mix. It's international cricket. Don't discredit your all this pool of players. Yes, they're not performing. I think we are not being able. Basically, we are failing to put on the right combination on the day. Let's persist with Heather. Let's persist with Sean. You may change their batting numbers, bring Sean at three, or Heather down, or open with Sean. But you have to actually uh, get away with the fixated kind of plan that Babar and Rizwan are going to open whatever may happen. You have to experiment.
And just coming back on the point that England are touring Pakistan after 17 years, it's also been 17 years since Pakistan has actually beaten England in a white ball series. I mean, if you take out one of 2020 matches, like there was a one of 2020 match in 2016 that Pakistan won in Manchester. But in terms of a white ball series, it's been a very long time since Pakistan has beaten England in a white ball series with this, more than just the one-off game, a one of 2020 or something like that. So this was a golden opportunity for Pakistan to, win a white ball series against England after a long, long time. But they've gone one down in the series, and if they go down on Thursday, then it's going to be very difficult to win the series from two down.
Rest assured, I think still Pakistan is going to win this series. I don't see England winning this series. We'll have to play really bad to lose this. Okay, that was the first game and things didn't go your way, but with having a better combination in the next game, a better game plan, Pakistan should be doing well. I would rather bring Asif Ali if he's in, have him. He wins you 2 out of 6 times chasing or setting up a total. If he gets to play the same deliveries which Khushdil is getting to play, you just can't have Nawaz and Khushdil playing in the same team with almost identical roles, with Nawaz being a much better bowler and actually quality batter as well. So I wish we can all get together for Pakistan, because you just can't take out Pakistan out of international cricket. बहुत ज़्यादा मज़ा पाकिस्तान लेके आता है, फ्लेवर लेके आता है, और इसको चेरिश करते हैं. सीरीज गई है, हार भी गए तो इतना गम नहीं है, बस they should be putting in their best fight, or hope that actually Pakistan does well, and best wishes with Pakistan cricket to grow. And we are thankful on the behalf of Pakistani fans. I would like to thank the English cricket management, all the English star cricketers who have flown to Pakistan, and I'm sure they're not going to forget the very warm hospitality and the food which you wouldn't even find here in England. No way. And much more there. They'll be making a lot of good memories.
Yes, fine words. So I agree with you that the idea of cricket returning to Pakistan and an England team returning to Pakistan takes precedence over preparation for for a 2020 World Cup. I mean, that's the bigger picture as opposed to the shorter picture of the 2020 World Cup. And in terms of interest in England for this series, there'll be a lot more interest when the test matches start, because England is a test-loving nation. And this series is quite low profile in England, even though they're returning to Pakistan after so many years, because we've just had a long English summer end. And obviously, the Queen's death has put life into perspective for lots of people here, and that's all dominated all the headlines in the last week. And obviously, the 2020 World Cup's coming up. So, in the grand scheme of things, in terms of English international summer and the 2020 World Cup, this series might seem a little low profile, but there'll be significantly more interest once the test matches arrive in December. We expect to see a lot more traveling fans from England in terms of Barmy Army and other traveling supporter groups going to Pakistan for that. And we also expect to see more British press going for the test series. I mean, there are some there for the 2020s, but they're in small number. We also expect to see the bigger commentators, the likes of Nasser Hussain. They'll be going for the test matches. They're not there for the 2020s. So the best part of the tour is still to come in terms of the test matches and those matches that will be held in December. But I agree with you that today was a special day, even though that Pakistan lost the match, and in the end they lost it by quite a comfortable margin. I mean, they'd almost given up in the end in terms of just waiting for England to score the runs. But it was a special day, and that's the bigger picture as opposed to the preparation for the 2020 World Cup. That's just short term. They'll be forgotten about. Once the Test series starts against England, Pakistan go 1 up or 2 up. The results in the 2020 World Cup will almost be forgotten in the background if Pakistan don't do well. But the bigger picture is the event and the occasion, and you summed it up well there. So we'll conclude today's episode there. So thank you for your thoughts there, Basit.